Heyo, it's me, Harper Savage, and today we're going to be doing Inktober 2023 Sketchbook flip through. That was a mouthful. Anyways, I set a bunch of stickers on the cover here. Make it more interesting for me. They're all sparkly and hollow. Now, I do have a video on every single Inktober prompt that I did this year, so be sure to check out the Inktober 2023 playlist if you're interested in seeing the processes of all the art. So let's go ahead and get started with the flip through. Now this first page is actually taped to the cover here because I did it in my regular mixed media Canson sketchbook. It wasn't agreeing with how many times I was trying to erase, so I wanted to switch sketchbooks, and I switched to one that was more liquid oriented, so I could do like more painting stuff in it compared to the normal mixed media, which wasn't bad with inks, it just wasn't the best, if that makes sense. So the first prompt was dream. I did a little fawn taking a nap in the forest here. I really like how this one turned out. I remember it being a bit rough because I kept on erasing like 1,000 times before I could get it like kind of right. The next prompt was spiders. I did write it on this page and then I never wrote the prompt on the page again. I don't know, I just didn't feel like it fit in anywhere, so I just didn't write it after this page. We have a red widow. I remember wanting to more focus on how I was drawing the webbing than the actual spider. So that's why the spider kind of looks like they're floating, because I didn't spend enough time caring about where the spider was compared to like where the web pieces actually meant, like that there and that there and that there. They're all kind of hanging off with the web. But this was done in Sharpie and Micron liners. Now day 3 was path, and I actually was referencing a caterpillar and a picture of these flowers that were like kind of viney but kind of bushy at the same time that were in my yard here. And I wanted it to look like it was an old path, like it was growing over, or like maybe it was a path made specifically from people walking up and down it, not necessarily like a man-made path. So that's why all the rocks are mossy and stuff. This was done with Winsor & Newton drawing ink. Day 4 was dodge, and I didn't really want to draw a car or the action, so I went with the car's like logo, which is a ram. So I did a ram head and with some interesting stuff on it. So the background is a mysterious black ink that is mixed vials from different samples. I don't know what to call them. I would get dip pens and they would come with their own little ink vial. So I just kind of dumped them all into one container. And it was like my goal to go through and use all of that ink this year. I'll show you the results at the end of the video for that ink vial, especially if you watched all of Inktober and are curious about it. And the other medium are these jelly rolls. I don't know what the line is called. I feel like it's like stardust or moon something or other. They're neon colors, but they didn't turn out so neon on the black ink. They look more chalky, but I still really like it. I did mock this up digitally first, which is why it looks like mostly symmetrical. Day 5 was map. You can't see it because it's so shiny. What I did was the rice technique, but I didn't have any rice, so I used beads instead. Basically what you do with the rice is you get a handful of it and you throw it on the page and you draw your lines around the rice, and that's your land. So I think it turned out pretty cool. It's just my handwriting is awful, and also I did this all in Bombay ink, so it turned shiny, which I kind of forgot it does that. So it's like not my favorite in this aspect that it's super shiny and blinding. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. My map is actually based off of Zodiac stuff. I thought that was a cool concept and I went with it. Day 6 was golden, and it was when I tried out the Winsor & Newton gold. It didn't turn out how I wanted it to. I thought the gold was going to be more opaque, like I can still see the paper underneath here. It's more like a glitter gold and not like a pearlescent or metallic gold, if that makes sense to you. I did a death's head moth. It still is super shiny. Like if you hit it just right, you can't see the white marks, but then you can also see where I tried to fix it and it didn't like fix, because I tried to just go over the areas where it bled out a little bit. And the background was done with the Marabou watercolor inks. Day 7 was drip, and we have candles here for the dripping. I decided to do like kind of like a spell book and like a concoction here. I think it turned out really cool. I think I could have placed things a little bit better, but other than that, I think it looks pretty cool. Day 8 was Toad. This is probably my favorite in the entire Inktober this year. I think I just painted it really nicely and I drew everything really nice. I don't know. There's just something about it that I really like. This was done with my watercolor inks. I can't remember what I outlined it with. I want to say it was black ink, the mysterious black ink, but I can't quite remember. I do remember using a dip pen though. Day 9 was bounce, and I went for a waxed-tailed hopper. They are vaguely related to cicadas. They're really cool. You should totally check them out if you know, aren't squeamish to bugs. But I may have exaggerated the wax tail a little bit just to fill in the page. This was done with the mysterious black ink and some blue proof white for the stars or the texture in the background. Day 10 was fortune. I went ahead and drew some tarot cards in a hand. The cards themselves have a reference to another Inktober on them, and this was done in Sharpie. And I had a couple of people say they really liked how I colored the crystals, and I'm considering maybe doing a how I color with Sharpie tutorial type of video. Let me know if that's something you're interested in the comments, because I know Sharpie is one of the harder alcohol markers to really like use and blend. This one is definitely also up there in my top favorites for this Inktober. I do have some gold accents here. And here we have day 11, which was wander. I drew a lantern because, you know, when you're wandering out at night in the dark, we usually use flashlights, right? But like I was thinking more like ye olden times or something, where you would probably bring some kind of lantern or torch with you while you're wandering. That's how I connected it here. Originally, I had come up with this concept of the fireflies and the lantern before Inktober had started, so I kind of shoved it into a prompt the best that I could because it was way too close to Inktober for me to work on this concept. And also the concept was a lot more intricate than this. I wanted like something really ornate and detailed for the lantern, but the day it came to doing this prompt, I didn't feel like it. That's basically what it came down to, is I didn't feel like it and I didn't have the time. So I made it simple. And it's definitely not my favorite of this year's Inktober. I think it's like down at the bottom of the list of from like most liked to least liked. This was done in Sharpie and Posca markers, and the background was that mysterious black ink. Now the Sharpie is the bronze color and the Posca is the dark brown color. Day 12 was spicy, and I decided to do spices on like a spice rack or cabinet that would like hang on the wall. Now, parts of this concept were a reference to another Inktober I did in a past year. That's why there's some interesting stuff on here. I do really like it now that it's done, but when I was doing it, I was getting kind of frustrated with it. A lot of the details got kind of like blacked out because I couldn't get these to match. So I just went over the whole thing with the sepia color. And there was also like some details and stuff in here, but I just went over the whole thing to make it so it wasn't so like weird that these things stood out compared to the rest of it. But I really did like this concept, and I'm probably gonna redo it someday. Day 13 was Rise, and I was inspired by the Japanese wave and that style of art, but I decided instead of just doing a wave like rising up out of the water, I wanted to have like a kraken or an octopus or something coming out of the water too. I think I could have done better with the suction cups. Like I was just having a hard time because I think I had like the anxiety shakes that day. Yeah, I think overall it's a really like it's not that bad. And this was done in, I believe, Winsor & Newton. If it wasn't the Winsor & Newton inks, it was the Bombay inks. Day 14 was castle, and I decided to do like a fairy castle in a tree. This was done in alcohol markers and outlined with the Fudodosuke soft brush, I think. I really do like how this turned out and how like colorful kind of colorful. Like it's bright, maybe. I don't know how to describe it. It's just there's colors. The castle kind of looks like a sandcastle because my swatch dried gray-ish on a different kind of paper, and then when I colored it onto this paper, it dried brownish. So I just went with it. It's fine. If I did redo this, I would definitely try to gray up the castle. Day 15 was dagger, and I based it off a pair of scissors that I own that have a unicorn body, and the horn is the sharp part. It kind of looks more like a wand, I'm not gonna lie, but the intent was there. So I think this was done with the watercolor inks. If not, it was done with the Winsor & Newton inks. And if not, it was done with the Bombay inks. Like, I know you're like, it wasn't that long ago, Harper. Why can't you remember anything? Listen, I record things in advance, and I recorded several a day, so I kind of just like threw out any memory of anything that I did here, okay? Cut me some slack. And the black part is the mysterious black ink here, and you can kind of still see the colors underneath from the other ink / watercolor ink, which I think is really cool. And the outlines were done with glitter Poscas. Day 16 was Angel, and I decided to do a cat with a lot of extra angelical things. And maybe not so angelical with that third eye there. I used highlighters and the Fudenosuke brush pens. Now the reason I used highlighters was because I was flipping through an older Inktober, one of the first ones I did. I noticed I had used highlighters for a couple of the prompts, and I forgot that I had ever done that and wanted to do it again. So that's why Angel turned out to be Highlighter Angel. Day 17 is Demon, and I also use highlighter for it, except they're not like very bright colors. They're like mild liners. It's the zebra ones. I wanted to do a matching one to the angel, so I did a demon with extra demon-y parts. That was also a cat. I feel like the demon is not as good as the angel, but still not that bad. I do wish I had colored in the cat black though. Like I regret not doing that now. Day 18 was Saddle. I'm not good at drawing horses or like drawing certain things, and Saddle is one of them. So I was actually trying to come up with the concept where there was a saddle on an animal that I actually did like. Like I'm not a huge fan of horses, no offense. When I typed in saddle and turtle, there was a saddle tortoise that exists apparently. So I went with that concept, and I also meshed in something else that I have been doing with turtles and tortoises, where I kind of make their shell an element of where they're from, and this was colored with Sharpie. At the time I hated it. Right now, still not loving it. Day 19 is Plump, and I asked my Discord server what foods they would describe with the word plump, and I got a couple of ideas from them, and I also, you know, had some of my own ideas, of course. So I just did a bunch of fruit on a page and an aloe flipping. That's what that is there. And this was all done in Posca. Day 20 was Frost, and this was inspired by Apple's Element flavors. I think it was specifically the rain one. This was done with watercolor inks for the background, Bombay ink for the rose and the outline of the diamond here, and bleed proof white for the little ray thingies. And last, the line art was done with a Posca. Day 21 is Chains. I don't hate this concept at all. It's just it doesn't really fit the prompt as much as I would like it to. These like lines and stuff, they're supposed to be the chains, but I have no patience to draw chains. Day 22 is Scratchy. I did this all with Papermate Ink Joy pens. I actually killed my orange, but lucky for me, I have a bazillion others. I really did like this, and I wanted to do more like this after I had done it, but I couldn't figure out where it would fit in. So like basically this is the only one that I did like this. Day 23 was Celestial. I did a like solar system-esque thing, but not really the solar system. The sun is in the middle and the planets are around it. It's what I'm trying to say. I did this with Bombay ink, and then the background is that mysterious black ink. And I did the symbols for the planets and colored them after what looked like the planet color, and I regret not making this Sailor Moon themed. The planets themselves were done with Mondo Llama glitter markers. Day 24 was Shallow, and I drew a fox creature and a shallow puddle. The original concept was a fox playing in like a creek or something, but I just wasn't feeling drawing a background and scenery this day. And I also wanted to use my lei pens because I have a bunch of lei pens that have like the, what are they called? Flare tips on them. It's like the tiny little like brush tip. Day 25 was dangerous, and I decided to draw mushrooms that were poisonous and leaking everywhere with a little danger sign on it. These mushrooms were not really based off of anything. They were just, I wanted to draw mushrooms with slime on them for some reason. And this was done with Sharpie. Day 26 was remove. I will explain the concept of this one because it says protection on it and not remove. So what I did was I gathered information for like what certain things can do and what they mean and stuff for a spell jar. I wanted to be like removing negativity, but the more stuff I added into the jar, the more it became more like protection. So it came from a place of remove and then just landed on protection. And this was done in alcohol markers. Day 27 was beast. I decided to go with something a little bit more cute. And it's not exactly a beast, it's just a cat with wings. But I don't know, I just thought it was cute, okay? This was done with my Marabou watercolor inks and the mysterious black ink. And this was also one of my favorites. I think it's like up there after Toad. Day 28 was sparkle, and I drew a bottle with sparkles in it. It's based off of those like bottles people make with the liquid and the sparkly micas and stuff, and you shake it and it swirls around. It's all magical feeling. I did mine in a star-shaped bottle, and this was done with Winsor Newton inks, and the background was the mysterious black ink. Day 29 is massive, and I drew my dog Peanut behind mountains there, and this was all done in Posca. I actually had to use a brush to blend Peanut's coat pattern together here. Day 30 was Rush, and Rush was not my best work, I'm not gonna lie, but I drew a rabbit because they're always late for a very important date, you know? This was done in my light pen flare markers. And day 31, the final Inktober, the prompt was fire, and I drew a cauldron that has fire. And I don't know like where the crystal idea came from, but I really like it and I think it turned out really cool. I did this in an assortment of pens. I kind of was just like, I'm gonna grab a bunch of materials and I'm gonna use them, and I didn't necessarily color it in, but I think it still looks pretty cool. I promised to show you guys like where we're at with the mysterious ink vial. So we did not complete it, unfortunately. There's still a little bit in there, but you can kind of see the bulge or the bottom of the jar here. So there's not a whole lot left. Try to turn it sideways, but you won't be able to see it that well. Either way. And even if I had finished off that vial, I discovered I have another mysterious vial that has no branding. So I'm gonna probably like use up the rest of the other jar and like keep this one in here and not dump it into there, because this one fits in my organizer a little bit better. It's not as tall. That's gonna be it from me today. If you want to check out the entire Inktober playlist, you can go ahead and tap the link here. And if you want to check out another sketchbook flip through, you can go ahead and tap the link here. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to do all the cool YouTube-y things of comment, liking, and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!